Hello everyone. I'm not driving, don't worry. Michelle's driving. I thought this would be a fun moment to make a short little video speaking about where we're at right now in this Venus cycle. So this coming week, we have a couple of things happening. First, on the 6th, Venus joins Juno. And just around that time, I would say maybe the day before, Venus enters this period where you really can't see it anymore. Pretty much around the time of that Juno conjunction, actually. There are a few days or so where, as it's moving towards the sun and away from the sun, it conjuncts the sun on the 8th, where you can't see Venus anymore. And there's a lot happening under the surface. That's the inferior conjunction. That's the conjunction that happens with Venus and the sun while Venus is closest to the Earth. So a lot of astrologers speak about that particular time. We can think of it as when Venus is really being charged by a solar energy, but it's like almost underneath the surface. It's in the ground. It's an internal process that's happening. This is oftentimes described as the underworld phase. So what's happening is Venus function, which is about self-value, self-esteem, relationship, how we learn, how we communicate, how we grow and evolve through the vehicle of relationships, and really how we listen to ourselves, and how that extends via how we listen to others and navigate the dance of relationships and intimacy. There's deep healing, there's deep discovery, there's deep inner illumination happening right now. So I feel we're entering into this period for the first 2 weeks of January, where there's a deeper internalization. We're entering the midpoint of this Venus retrograde journey. And it makes me think about the I Ching reading that I did at the beginning of this journey, which was hexagram 22 changing to 36. 22 is like beauty or grace or simple beauty, and 36 being hidden. The brightness is hidden. And it really, really speaks to this quality. Intuitively, I connected to this facet, this part of the Venus journey. The reflections that arise. Who are we when the external world isn't what we want it to be? Or when others don't act or behave or relate to us in the ways that we want them to? Or our Venusian facets of life, our body, our money, the things that we otherwise value or find comfortable, when that's not flowing the way we want it to. How do we embody and commit ourselves to the qualities of grace and beauty on the inside when those qualities aren't how we want them to be? And the deepest teaching really in Capricorn is that process of taking responsibility for our own cultivation and meeting a lot of the ways in which we try to control. Wanting to keep everything in place in a particular form, in a particular way, but not always aware of how much that comes from our own conditioning. So I feel that this time has the opportunity to just bring us deeper into ourselves if we hold it in that way and are okay with just that life experience of maybe not being comfortable, things not being as we want it to be. There's so much healing during these phases of life experience when we choose to cultivate ourselves regardless. And I think this is just really ripe for that. So with all of that and with that Juno conjunction, I want to ask Michelle. I told her I'll ask her a spontaneous question, but we'll keep the camera off of the driver to keep it safe. If you have any thoughts or reflections on any of these pieces.
Yeah, I'm feeling. I referred to this in my Venus retrograde video, that there are 5 gates of this retrograde cycle. And the Sun conjunction, I think of as the 3rd gate. It's the midpoint in the cycle, and the reason why it's so important is that you've already received the vision, the view, the perspective of what a lot of this retrograde journey is about. And in having that awareness, when we've come to a deeply internal place deeper transformation. And the full, journey through all the way through the final gate is a process of re-evaluation, refinement, looking at this deeper internal space. And when we get here into the Sun conjunction, there's really an opportunity to rest in the discomfort. And it's like when you don't have money in the bank, there's two frames of mind that one could take. This uncomfortability of I'm lacking the resources. I don't have what it is that I want. I want to feel a certain way. I want to feel like I can pay my bills. I want to feel like I have what I need, but I don't feel that way. And we can go into fear, or we can go into a deeper space of reflection where we're actually calling our power back to ourselves for the perspective of actually creating that which would feel aligned. It's the same thing with our relationships. If they don't feel harmonious, if they don't feel like they are reflecting to us the worthiness, the love, the desires that we have, and Pluto is all about evolving our desire nature. And so I think with this solar illumination of being able to see from the light within ourselves, that hexagram 36 is one of my favorite hexagrams because I find it to be so elusive. Its meaning, what it's pointing to, how we behave, how we are, who we are, when no one is looking, when no one is seeing us, when nothing looks the way that it should be or we want it to be. That is the most powerful place where the true essence of ourselves, who we are on the inside, can begin to be cultivated and grow. And it's it doesn't matter who you are when you have a lot of money in the bank, when everything is going well, when work is good, and when relationships are exactly what they want. It matters who we are when those things are not so, when we are dissatisfied, and what we cultivate within ourselves, the perceptions we choose to shift, what we choose to own within ourselves and reclaim within ourselves in those spaces of our lives that are just not what we would want, not the way we would want to be. That is what really truly matters. And I feel like this is a really powerful time of year for going in and really reflecting. What is the light that I'm bringing to this year, to my life? What is it that I want to change? What is it that I want to bring forward in my relationships and my work? If I want to live in a state of being where I have more resources in my bank account and a greater sense of stability and strength, the very steps that would cultivate that have to be coming from within, from a deeper resourcing, in order for it to create a source of lasting change. And that's what we really want in our life, is lasting change that makes the world a better place and thus comes from the truth within us.
Yeah, and this just brings me to remember that there are these different phases and cycles on this soul journey. And during times when we're not receiving that external confirmation that would otherwise say, yes, you're worthy, you're valuable, you're doing a good job, or things are reflecting yourself in the way that you're wanting to be reflected, they just are really important times where we get to strengthen in our own self-value. Venus corresponds to the energy of grace and harmony and beauty. So this is actually a really great time, in a sense, to be excavating, what do I really value? What's most meaningful to me? Venus is moving through my 5th house right now. And so Capricorn in the 5th house, of course, on one level corresponds to, creative self-actualization. What am I doing in actualizing my work, my role in life, and branding and things like that. But on a deeper level, it really points to, where's my joy? My 5th house, joy, creativity, excitement. Capricorn, taking responsibility for my joy. And that's a big part of my own reflection. And during some spare times, I've been finding a draw to research equipment for recording studios, because I make music and I'm learning how to produce music. I'm learning how to record music and to edit music and put it together. So there can be almost, if you think of Venus as resources, there can be from this space almost like a new relationship to ourselves here are the things that I really want to cultivate. Here are the things that I'm really interested in. Here are literally the things, the objects, the resources, or the inner resources, the inner skills that I'm wanting to bring out and cultivate more. And we may not have thought that we would be giving attention to ourselves in that way. So I really think this is also a really beautiful time for that kind of cultivation and delightful self-discovery. Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching and joining us on this little car ride teaching.